Hey there, and thanks again for tuning into Hippie-Clectic Hope videos. I'm Sherry Kirchhoff, and I'm going to continue with Andrew Yang's big policies that I think should be covered more than the mainstream media has allowed. They don't let Andrew Yang talk about anything more than UBI, and then they slash that idea. So, fix the misconceptions first, and now let's move on to other important matters. Next on my personal list is how Andrew Yang plans to provide Medicare for all American citizens. There'll still be, private insurance and all that, but again, it's a choice. It's not, you're forced one way or the other. Before Obamacare, all there was private insurance for the most part, and, not like my mother would ever apply for government help, but I had a prosthetic leg that I had been wearing for, I was 14 when I got it, and 27, I think, when I finally got it replaced. So prosthetic limbs are only supposed to last you about 2 to 5 years on the outside, usually about 2 years. And I had been wearing mine for about 12, 13 years. So, because I had absolutely no way to replace it. I had been holding it together with duct tape for a long time, and finally found a clinic in Denver who, had programs, nonprofits who were helping them out while I was getting my Medicaid straightened out after Obamacare became a reality. If it weren't for Obamacare, I wouldn't be walking today. So, say what you will. But Andrew Yang wants to take it even further because, currently, the government is being held over a barrel because we don't control medicine costs. Most everything costs on average about 300% more here than it does in other countries. That's why people are going to Canada and Mexico on vacation and coming back with suitcases full of drugs. Well, Mexico more than Canada on the suitcases thing, but they're getting cheaper medication in other countries. And this is because, America has been on private insurance for so long that it's been based on what we can afford and not what's reasonable. And now that the government is starting to take some control, they don't have enough control on prices. They have control on, we'll send you for an x-ray, but not the MRI you really need. But they don't have any control on the cost of these services provided because, it's the supply and demand. But according to Andrew Yang, he's planning on changing that with Medicare for all. If everybody's enrolling in government insurance, then the government can vouch for everyone in saying that, wait a minute, Canadian citizens are paying 300% more for insulin than American citizens, and you're selling it to them too, so what's the deal? And every other life-saving treatment, every other medication, every other medical device, the Americans are grossly overpaying for. Having the government cover all of our insurance, they'll have all of our voices saying, this is too high. Quit ripping off America. We work hard for ours too. So, and that's going to help employers because when your boss doesn't have to provide insurance for 600 employees, he might hire 700 employees. If you're starting out your own company and you can't afford to insure your 5 employees, you're gonna, have your 5 guys on your crew as subcontractors rather than employees. And they're not going to get treated as fairly in the job market because they won't have the benefits they deserve for the work that they're completing for you. You can't afford to provide what they do need. Andrew Yang's Medicare for All system will fix that. And, and it'll lower the co-pays on a lot of policies too. one of the reasons I couldn't ever get a prosthetic leg until Obamacare is because, like, even the socks I needed to custom fit my socket were $20 a piece cash. I was making $8 an hour. By the time I work 4 hours and pay my taxes, I could go get a sock. But then I can't pay my power bill this week. So I pay my power bill this week and I use a cane. I was always in that trap, and so many Americans are still in that trap because we can't afford our co-pays, and we can't afford what Medicaid won't cover, and we can't afford what the clinics that Medicaid won't cover, and we can't afford the exorbitant rates for insurance at our workplace, and our employers can't afford to even supply that to their employees. So Medicare for all is going to fix all of that. It's going to take time, like it's not going to, Yang's president, all right, it's going to take time. But it will be worth it once we put forth the effort as a country. We need to work together. Instead of focusing on having or not having, we need to work together, be Americans, and fix this together. Andrew Yang's laying out the blueprint. We still have to follow the blueprint. But we have to hire Andrew Yang as our national contractor, too. That's the first step. Another important policy that Andrew Yang wants to instill, he's calling it social credits, and the Republicans are going to call it socialism because it's an easy, cheap shot. But I prefer to call it karma points. This social credits concept is, for someone like, my neighbors and myself in Section 8 housing. We can babysit for each other. One of my neighbors is planting flowers all in the back courtyard of my government apartment complex. We can babysit, cook for each other, take people to the grocery store, working together, camaraderie type actions, not working as a job, but just helping each other out, contributes to the social credit karma points system. Say my neighbor has to work nights. Okay, I'll let her kiddos crash in my living room, go sleep, and when mom gets home from work, night shift, she gets home from work 6 in the morning, her kiddos are ready to go home and get ready for school, and my son's ready to get ready for school, and maybe she's working minimum wage, she can't afford to pay me $16 an hour, or whatever standard daycare rates are out here. It's extortion. But she can't afford to pay me that. She's working minimum wage herself. So that's Andrew Yang's planning on like a social credit work trade app, almost like a Craigslist personal ad app. And so when I would watch my neighbor's kids, for a few hours during the day or overnight or whatever, she'd pay me in social credits instead of cold hard cash that she's earning. And then I would be able to spend those social credits at like the local YMCA enrolling my son in swimming lessons, something to that effect, or going to the Denver Rescue Mission instead of volunteering in their shelter because it's a men's shelter. I could collect social credits and, go up to one of their program managers like, hey, I have 500 social credits. Can I get some clothes for my son? Easy, quick, just everybody helping each other out instead of, camaraderie as a currency instead of just purely being based on greed. It's going to add to the human scorecard that Andrew Yang is also trying to propose to replace the whole GDP and everything. Because, people like house moms or people in abusive relationships or, other, caretakers for family members or, cleaning ladies or minimum wage workers aren't seen as being as valuable as lawyers and doctors and movie stars and celebrities. And sometimes, I mean, working in a nursing home or caring for your elderly grandparents is very hard work. It's very rewarding work. It's very worthy work. I used to help take care of my family members as they were aging, and just hanging out with Big Papa and listening to stories about how he kept the family farm running during the Depression is just inspirational. And you can't catch that on YouTube because Big Papa wasn't on YouTube, You have to catch those experiences from your elders while they're here, while you're taking care of them, just like they took care of your parents and grandparents themselves. We have to look out for each other. Or the elderly neighbor whose family's all passed away or moved out of state. She's just sitting alone in her house with her cat. I knew that lady. She worked in a schoolhouse, one of those one-room rural schoolhouses that we read about in the books. She was the teacher there. And I don't think anyone even went to her funeral. There's nobody left in the area who knew her. And, Andrew Yang wants to treat our elders better than that. And the social credit karma point system is going to go a huge lengths towards working together as a nation instead of just looking out for our own selves. Because even as we help each other out, we'll be gaining, for our own sake. So it's a pretty cool system. And they're trying to, they're experimenting with ideas like that in Europe, I heard, but I don't remember any specifics. And let's see here. Yep, that the social credits karma points system leads into Andrew Yang's idea for human-centered capitalism. We're making more money in total on average as a country, but the rich are getting richer and fewer in number, and the poor are getting poorer and far greater in number. There's more resources to go around, but they're going around less. That's what the trickle-down economy is doing. It's not providing enough water to the plants at the bottom of the mountain. It's just seeping into the ground for the ground to continue collecting. It's a bogus concept of, trickle down. The rich people are going to look out for the poor people. That's not... No, sorry. Nice fairy tale. But human-centered capitalism and social credits all tie into, say, we're, where's my words? Say another neighbor just lost his job, and, he's, depressed about it. They're, they don't have savings to stay caught up on bills. They're stressed about, getting kicked out of their place, etc. A lot of people in dire situations do drastic things like get rich quick schemes or get into criminal activity because it's a quick, easy bucks, or, get into begging on the corner like I have to occasionally, to take care of my sons and my needs. My clothes come from Goodwill and public resources, and so do Aaron's. I finally invested in a little makeup for the first time in probably 15 years to, as I'm trying to, I'm appearing on a worldwide audience, so, I can't be scrubbing. But, even that stuff comes from Dollar Store, Walmart, Cheap Rack, It's, every dollar counts, and so many families are stuck in that. And, that's not human-centered capitalism. That's greed, corporation-centered capitalism. And with, policies like social credits and freedom dividend and Medicare for all, it's going to lighten the load on the majority of Americans who are suffering and are struggling to make their ends meet. How we treat each other will matter on our personal scorecard. say we were working a job, we got a promotion, hey, you get points for that. You helped your neighbor get to rehab meetings, you get points for that. You help out at your local library teaching a craft class or, personal creative writing class, you get points for that. It all goes on your scorecard at the end of the year. You sign off on these like public service, happy to do it volunteer activities, etc. And, and you get your points. Instead of focusing on dollars and cents, it's focusing on what good did you do. And that's, a beautiful concept. Hippies have been trying for that ever since the 60s, and people around the world have been trying for, concepts like this as long as there's been inequality. So, I'd really like to give this whole idea a shot at getting on this 16-minute mark. So I should probably get skedaddling until another day. My next topics are going to be about how we mistreat our nation's veterans and, our obsession with going to war and the student loan crisis, because these are very important problems we face as Americans as well. So thanks again for tuning in to Hippie-Clectic Hope. I'm Sherry Kirchhoff, and remember to hit the like button, please, and subscribe if you haven't already. I plan to get into a lot more important topics, a lot more fun topics, a vast array of interesting stuff. So, take it easy, have a blessed day, and I will see you again another day.